When a quiet new black student arrives at Jefferson High, a group of notorious bullies sees an easy target, but they've made a fatal mistake. Behind his calm demeanor lies a brutal past forged in underground fighting rings. What starts as mockery soon turns into a lesson they'll never forget. When a quiet new black student arrives at Jefferson High, a group of notorious bullies sees an easy target, but they've made a fatal mistake. Behind his calm demeanor lies a brutal past forged in underground fighting rings. What starts as mockery soon turns into a lesson they'll never forget. Jaden Cole stepped off the yellow school bus with his backpack slung low over one shoulder, his head held high, and his eyes scanning the unfamiliar landscape of Jefferson High School. The building looked clean, polished, nothing like the cracked, brick and graffiti-covered walls of the Detroit public school he'd left behind. The suburban silence was louder than he expected. He didn't like it. Silence was often the calm before a storm. He took a deep breath, adjusted his black hoodie, and walked up the front steps. He could already feel the eyes on him, curious, skeptical, and in some cases, judging. It wasn't just that he was new. It was the way he walked, confident but composed, with a kind of unshakable calm that made people look twice. He was taller than most of the boys, with lean muscle hidden beneath his simple clothes. His face was unreadable, blank, but alert. Some mistook it for shyness, others saw arrogance. Jaden saw neither. He was just watching, calculating, choosing his battles. Fresh meat, someone muttered as he passed. He ignored it. Inside the school, the hallways were wide and too bright. Students gathered in clusters like cattle herded by social hierarchy. Jaden navigated through them, heading to the office to check in. A woman at the front desk handed him a schedule and a locker number. Her eyes lingered on him for a second, longer than necessary, as if trying to place him into a category. He was used to it. His first class was English, and it didn't take long for the attention to turn into something more direct. In the back of the classroom sat three boys, Travis, Logan, and Brett. They wore varsity jackets, even though it was only the second week of school. Their laughter was loud, and their confidence undeserved. Travis, the ringleader, had sun-bleached hair and the smugness of someone who'd never heard the word no. His father owned half the local dealerships in town, and Travis carried himself like a prince. When Jaden entered the room, Travis locked eyes with him, then smirked. "Yo, new kid," he called out. "You get lost on your way to the city." The class laughed, some nervously, some enthusiastically. Jaden just walked to his seat and sat down in silence. His eyes didn't even flinch. That threw Travis off more than any comeback would have. "I said, you lost," Travis repeated, louder. Jaden turned his head slightly. "Nope, then maybe you should say hi to your new classmates. Show a little respect." Jaden glanced at the teacher, who was pretending not to hear anything. A lesson already learned. "I respect people who deserve it," Jaden said simply. That shut Travis up for a moment. But the fire was lit. From that moment, the game began. By lunchtime, the trio of bullies had already begun spreading rumors about him, that he was in juvie, that he got expelled from his last school, that he was poor, a gangbanger, dangerous. Ironically, none of it was true except maybe the last part, but they didn't know why. Jaden sat alone during lunch, focused on his food and trying to keep a low profile. But low wasn't low enough for guys like Travis. He needed to put Jaden in his place. And in Jefferson High, that place wasn't confident, composed, or black. Across the cafeteria, a girl watched the scene unfold. Eva Martinez, sharp-witted and even sharper-tongued, had seen enough of Travis and his games. She'd been the target herself once, until she fought back. Now she kept her circle small and her eyes open. She slid her tray onto the table beside Jaden. "They're gonna keep poking at you until you snap." Jaden looked up slightly surprised. "Thanks for the warning. I'm Eva. Jaden. You're from Detroit?" Jaden nodded. "I used to live in Oakland. Trust me, I know a predator when I see one." Jaden offered a small smile. "So do I. Just saying," Eva said, stabbing her fork into her salad. "If you let them walk on you, they'll do it every day." "I'm not letting anyone walk on me," he said quietly. That night, Jaden lay on his bed in his small room above his grandfather's garage. His hands were wrapped in cloth, not for protection, but for memory. He stood in shadowbox in the mirror for a few minutes, breathing steadily, fists slicing through the air. Every punch was a whisper from the past. His mother's voice, the cheers of underground crowds, the crunch of a jaw breaking under his knuckles, and his grandfather's warning, "A real man wins the fight before it begins." He hadn't thrown a punch since he moved here. He planned to keep it that way. The next day, Travis made another move, this time in the locker room after gym class. Jaden was changing when Logan and Brett blocked the exit. Travis walked up slowly, tapping a lacrosse stick against his palm. "So, Jay," Travis drawled, "you play any sports, or just run your mouth?" Jaden didn't respond. Travis got closer. "You know, we've got a tradition here. New guys get a little initiation." Jaden calmly finished tying his shoes. "See, it's just a joke," Travis said. "We throw you in the locker, you kick for a few minutes, and everyone gets a laugh." Logan and Brett laughed on cue. Jaden stood up slowly. At his full height, he matched Travis, their eyes locked. For a moment, no one spoke, then Jaden stepped aside. "Move." The three boys blinked in surprise. Jaden wasn't angry. He wasn't scared. He was something worse for them. He was calm. Travis moved in his path. Jaden stopped again. I don't want trouble, he said. Too late, Travis replied. And then Jaden walked straight through them. He didn't shove. He didn't fight. He simply moved forward, and something in his eyes made them step back just enough. The silence was louder than any threat. Back in the hallway, Eva caught up with him. What happened? She asked. Nothing, Jaden replied. Nothing, or nothing yet. Jaden gave her a look that stopped her cold. That night, Travis edited a short video together, cut footage of Jaden walking silently, combined with clips from an old boxing fail video, overlaid with the text Detroit dummy. It went semi-viral within the school. Students laughed. Teachers ignored it. Jaden saw it and deleted it. But when he got home and found the picture of his mother, one of the few he had torn in half and stuffed into his locker the next morning, something inside him cracked. The next time they called him out, he didn't walk away. That afternoon, Travis sent a message through one of his sycophants. Meet us behind the gym after school. Be a man. Jaden showed up, and for the first time since he arrived at Jefferson High, he took off his hoodie and rolled up his sleeves. Jaden stood behind the gym, his sleeves rolled up, arms folded, eyes fixed on the trio in front of him like a predator waiting to strike. No crowd, no witnesses. Just him, Travis, Logan, and Brett, who looked a lot less cocky now that Jaden wasn't walking away. Travis smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. So the tough guy finally shows up. Jaden said nothing. You gonna beg, or are we gonna have some fun first? Still silence. Travis took a step forward, raising his fists. I've been waiting for this. He threw a wild punch, wide, slow, and full of ego. Jaden sidestepped it like it was nothing and tapped Travis lightly on the shoulder as he passed. A silent insult that said, "That's all you got?" Brett charged next. Bigger than the others. Stronger, more aggressive. Jaden ducked the swing, grabbed his arm, twisted it, and sent him tumbling to the ground with a precise hip throw. Brett landed hard with a grunt, and Jaden stepped back, expression blank. Logan hesitated. For a moment, he seemed to realize what they were up against. Travis didn't. He rushed in again, swinging left and right like a boxer who never trained. Jaden parried each blow effortlessly, then stepped in with a single jab to Travis's nose, fast, controlled, and devastating. The crunch echoed off the back wall of the gym. Travis screamed, falling to his knees, blood pouring from his face. Jaden stood over him, breathing steady. I told you, he said softly. I don't want trouble. You just wouldn't listen. Looked at Logan and Brett. Try anything else, and you'll leave in worse shape. No one moved. Behind them, Eva appeared, phone in hand, recording the aftermath. She'd been watching from behind the bleachers the whole time. She didn't need to intervene. Jaden had everything under control, but she knew what came next wouldn't be that simple. Within an hour, word spread like wildfire across Jefferson High. The video Eva recorded, edited carefully to show Jaden defending himself, was already circulating. Some students cheered, some were stunned, but all of them understood the same thing. Jaden Cole wasn't the victim anymore. That night, the principal called Jaden and his grandfather into her office. She was a middle-aged woman named Ms. Pearson, sharp features and a voice that usually didn't waver. But today, her tone was unsure. I've reviewed the footage, Mr. Cole, she said, folding her hands. I have to admit it's complicated. Jaden sat quietly. His grandfather, Mr. Franklin Cole, sat beside him like a wall of old wisdom and hard-earned grit. My grandson was defending himself, Franklin said. You'd expel him for that. The situation was provoked. Yes, Ms. Pearson replied. But Travis's father is on the school board. There are politics involved. Jaden finally spoke. If I get punished for not letting them beat me, then that tells me everything I need to know about this school. Pearson exhaled slowly. I understand, Jaden. I do. I'm not suspending you for now. But there will be a hearing. Franklin nodded once. We'll be ready. As they left, Franklin turned to his grandson. You sure you're okay? I'm fine, Jaden said. Just tired of pretending. Franklin gave him a proud look. Then stop pretending. Be who you are. Just know when to hold back. The next few days turned Jaden into something of a legend at Jefferson High. Kids who never looked at him twice now watched him with newfound respect. Some gave him nods in the hallway. Others whispered rumors, some true, most exaggerated. I heard he fought grown men in underground rings. They say he broke a guy's ribs in a single punch. I heard he used to be in juvie, but they let him out for good behavior. Jaden ignored it all. He didn't need fans. He needed peace. Eva stayed close to him. They walked the halls together now. Two outcasts who'd earned their places not through popularity but through resilience. No, Travis isn't gonna let this go, she warned. I know, Jaden replied. I'm counting on it. Sure enough, Travis's father, Carl Remington, stormed into the school that week, demanding Jaden's expulsion. He accused him of gang affiliation, said he was a threat to the safety of the students, and warned that these types don't belong in their schools. Ms. Pearson, caught between justice and pressure, agreed to a formal disciplinary hearing. Jaden stood before the school board 3 days later, in a cramped, wood-paneled room. Travis sat across from him with a black eye and a crooked nose, bandaged and bitter. His father flanked him, a legal team in tow. The board members sat stiffly, pretending to be neutral, but Jaden wasn't alone. Eva stood beside him. So did 3 other students' kids who had been bullied by Travis and his crew. They each gave statements. One by one, they shared their stories: how Travis shoved a kid into a trash can, how Brett once stole a phone and blamed someone else, how Logan mocked a girl until she dropped out. And then Jaden spoke. He didn't yell, he didn't cry, he just told the truth. I came here to finish school, to get into college, to make my grandfather proud. I didn't come here to fight, but I won't let people like them treat me like I don't belong. The room fell silent. After deliberating for 20 minutes, the board returned. Jaden was cleared. Travis and his friends were suspended indefinitely. Outside the room, Eva hugged him hard. You did it. Jaden gave a small smile. It's not over. She pulled back. What do you mean? Guys like Travis don't lose gracefully. That afternoon, Jaden returned to school. He walked through the front doors alone, head held high. Students stepped aside without being asked. No one dared speak against him, except one. As Jaden reached his locker, he found a note folded and tucked between the vents. It read, "You got lucky. This isn't over." He turned the paper over. There was a smear of dried blood on the corner. Later, that day, Eva found him on the football bleachers, staring at the field. You think it's over? She asked. Jaden didn't look at her. Not even close. She sat beside him. You ready? Jaden nodded. I've been ready. That night, Travis sat in his father's car, a bag of ice pressed to his swollen nose. Carl Remington sat behind the wheel, furious. You embarrassed this family, he muttered. A boy from the city beat you. Travis didn't answer. Carl narrowed his eyes. You fix it. Do you understand me? Travis clenched his jaw. I will. Whatever it takes, Carl said. You make them wish they never stepped foot in this town. The next morning, Jaden woke up to the sound of tires screeching outside. A car had driven past his house at 3 a.m. Spray painted on the garage door were the words, Go back to Detroit. His grandfather stood beside him in silence. Eyes narrowed. Sure, you're ready? Franklin asked. Jaden's eyes were cold. I was born ready. The morning sun rose over Jefferson High with a deceptive calm. On the surface, it looked like any other day. Students shuffled into school, coffee cups in hand, earbuds in ears. But for Jaden Cole, the air was electric tight with tension. He could feel it in his bones. Something was coming. The words still stained his grandfather's garage door. Go back to Detroit. Franklin had painted over them that same day with calm efficiency. But Jaden had stared at them for hours, first memorizing the hate, absorbing it, transforming it into fuel. Eva met him at his locker. They're not finished, she said, her voice low. Jaden nodded. I know. They're scared. You embarrassed them, and now they're desperate. Desperate people are dangerous, Jaden said. It was Friday. Most kids looked forward to the weekend. Jaden was waiting for a war, and it came just not at school. That evening, he walked to the local community center where he had started volunteering. A modest brick building in the edge of town. It had a small gym, some worn-out boxing gear, and a group of younger kids who looked at Jaden like a superhero. He'd begun training them simple drills. Footwork, self-discipline. He taught them the way his grandfather taught him. Never hit first, always hit last. One of the kids, a 10-year-old named Malik, smiled up at him after practice. You ever lose a fight, coach? Jaden smiled. Not the ones that matter. He walked outside to the parking lot as the sun dipped low. That's when he saw the 3 set shadows waiting for him. Travis wasn't alone this time. He brought reinforcements to older boys, both clearly out of school. One was tall and wiry with knuckles, scarred from street fights. The other looked like he could bench a car. Travis had a bat. The bigger one had brass knuckles. And all of them had rage. Jaden didn't flinch. I told you this wasn't over, Travis said, stepping forward. Jaden dropped his gym bag. I guess you didn't learn your lesson. The big one charged first, fast and sloppy. Jaden ducked the swing, spun, and drove his elbow into the guy's ribs. A sickening crack. The man howled in pain and dropped. Travis screamed and lunged, swinging the bat. Jaden caught the handle mid-swing, yanked it from his grip, and tossed it aside. He hit Travis with 2 clean shots to the ribs and 1 to the jaw. Travis dropped like a puppet with its strings cut. The last one a twitchy kid with the brass. Knuckles circled him warily, then rushed. Jaden kicked his leg out from under him, slammed him into the hood of a nearby car, and twisted the knuckle weapon off his hand before tossing it down the sewer grate. Silence followed. Jaden stood tall, chest rising slowly, watching the 3 groan on the ground. A car screeched around the corner. Eva, who had seen them following him and knew something was wrong. She jumped out. Jaden, are you okay? He nodded, sweat trickling down his temple. They tried. They failed. Sirens echoed in the distance. Someone had called the cops. Jaden raised his hands as red and blue lights flashed at the police station. Things were different this time. The officers didn't cuff him. He sat at a table, calm and composed, with Eva and his grandfather at his side. Responding officer. A black man named Sergeant Rhodes had reviewed the surveillance footage from the community center. It was clearly self-defense, he told them. The other two are known troublemakers from the next town over. Travis is looking at some serious charges: assault, conspiracy, maybe worse. Franklin nodded. That'll teach him. Rhodes looked at Jaden. You okay, son? Jaden thought for a moment. I'm tired. Rhodes gave a small smile. You're not the first one to feel that, but you did the right thing. Outside, the media had already gotten wind of the attack. A local reporter who had heard about Jaden's previous hearing showed up, mic in hand. They asked him, do you think violence is ever the answer? Jaden answered simply, I don't believe in starting fights, but I believe in finishing them when I have to. Back at school, everything changed. The administration, once hesitant, now openly stood behind him. Ms. Pearson gave a school-wide announcement addressing bullying, justice, and strength. She didn't mention names, but everyone knew who it was. About Jaden was no longer seen as a threat. He was seen as a leader. At the next student assembly, he was asked to speak. The auditorium was packed. Every seat filled. Teachers lined the walls, and Jaden stepped up to the mic, clean in a black button-up shirt. Standing tall under the lights, I came here hoping to leave my past behind, he began, his voice steady. But I learned that no matter where you go, some people will try to test you, try to break you, try to convince you that you don't belong. He paused, scanning the crowd. But I also learned something else. The strongest person in the room isn't the one who throws the first punch. It's the one who knows when not to. The room was silent. You could hear a pin drop. I'm not proud of the fights I've been in, Jaden continued. But I'm proud I didn't let anyone decide my worth. I stood up not just for me, but for anyone who's ever been pushed, cornered, or silenced. Eva watched from the front row, eyes shining. Jaden stepped back from the mic. The students rose, not in mockery, not in fear, but in a standing ovation. Weeks passed. The school atmosphere shifted. More students began speaking up. A quiet revolution sparked by one boy who refused to be broken. Jaden continued training kids. At the community center, balancing school, workouts, and occasional interviews. He didn't let it go to his head. He just kept moving forward. One afternoon, a younger black student approached him shyly by the lockers. You're Jaden, right? Yeah, I'm starting next week. I was kinda nervous. Jaden smiled. You'll be fine. The kid hesitated. They said you used to fight. Jaden nodded. Only when I had to. The boy grinned. That's cool. Jaden offered a fist bump. Just remember, know who you are, and never let anyone else decide that for you. As the kid walked away, Eva joined Jaden. You're a real celebrity now, she teased. I don't want to be. Tough, she said, smirking. You earned it. Jaden looked out the window at the bright afternoon sky. You think they'll ever stop testing people like me? He asked. Eva shrugged. Maybe not, but now they know better. Jaden smiled faintly. Good. He picked up his backpack, walked toward the door, and held it open for a group of freshmen who stared up at him with wide eyes. Watch your step, he said, smiling, because now, everyone knew exactly who he was.